Hey, Justin Chamness, realestatewholesalerclub.com. And oh my gosh, one of the hardest parts of getting started in real estate investing and wholesaling is knowing what to offer the seller. How do I know I'm offering the right price? It's not too much, it's not too little. How do I know this is what the buyers are going to be willing to pay for it? Hey, I'm going to show you right now how to have absolute 100% confidence that your next offer on your next property deal is going to be spot on exactly what it should be using PropStream. If you would like a 7-day free trial to PropStream, it is in a link in the description of this video. And let's get started right now. Stay tuned.
Let's go for it. So let's address the flip comp. So let's say I'm in Fayetteville, and in Fayetteville, we build this list of properties with a lien, or let's say a lien. They're off market. Let's make sure they're a residential single family property. Let's say 4 bedrooms or less. So liens, residential single family, off market. And let's make sure like it has equity, right? Let's actually make it like a solid list that we would actually go after and owned by a person. Okay, so there we go. So we have our lists, and Tyler Drive calls us, right? Hey, Burton, I got your postcard, I got your voicemail. I called them and, hey, I'm interested in buying real estate. Get them on the phone. So Wendell and I are on the phone. We're talking about the lien. We're talking about, the failed listing they had recently. Now I'm going to run comps on the property. I'm going to make that offer on that property. Now, traditionally, we would go into comparables, and you would be able to source county records, which is also known as public records, or MLS records, right? Or both. Now, before I go into that, let me explain a little brief history of why we came up with flip comps. Like 4 years ago, I used to do this little demo. I used to show people how to find flippers in the market. Like way before we had this flippers category, I used to show people this. I would say, hey, if you ever want to see flippers in Fayetteville, just create the data for that. And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, all you need to do is think like a buyer. So go to Fayetteville, look for cash buyers, and let's say buyers that bought in the last quarter of last year. So let's say from October to December of last year. So people would be like, oh, okay, I get that. You're looking for buyers the last quarter. Exactly. Now, what does a buyer do if they want to flip it? They list it. So back in the day, I used to show people find buyers that bought a certain period of time, so October to December, and then they listed it. So go in our MLS status and say, okay, if they bought it from October to December, I want the flipper, so they have to have listed after January then, right? And we were able to find this right here. People that bought from October to December. So when you click on these properties, you'll see, oh, cash transaction in November for $53,000. And then they listed it for $92,000 in May, right? Because what we're doing is we're forcing the data to find us this. Show me someone who only bought between October to December of last year and then listed it. And typically when you do this, you tend to find the ones with higher prices, right? So bought it for 53, listing for 92, literally 7 months later, right? So this is a flipper. And so you'll notice that trend across each one. Cash for 77, flipping it for 154. So everyone was like, dude, that's freaking amazing. You just showed us how to find flippers. And
I
then
remember that, Burton.
Remember? Yeah, exactly. And so our development team says, hey, Burton, we can actually make that into something. So the first thing we did was we made it into an actual quick list choice, except the time frame was a little bit more of an advanced logic. The logic with flippers is it's been flipped in less than 24 months. And the reason we did 24 months is hard money loans usually balloon in about 24 months. They're usually 18 months, but some rare ones do 24 months. So our team said, okay, we can do that. Find someone who bought a property and they put it back on market in 24 months or less. So we created that list first. And then I was like, yo, could we do that for a subject property? And that's what we have. So when you now go to Fayetteville, build your liens, and find that property that you're looking for. Here, I just copied and pasted that property. There it is, Taylor. And you populate this property with that lien, we now have a new area. It's not just comparables, it's called flip comps. It takes that logic that I was showing and it gives it to you right here in the comparables. So here's what this does. It shows you the comps that were flipped in the 1 year. So someone bought it in the last year and they flipped it. Okay, so if you want to go back 2 years, feel free, right? Because flippers usually stay in that area. They don't really jump from area to area. So show me all the flips that happened since 2019 in the last 2 years. And the flips that I want are identical to my subject property. So show me all the flips that were 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Right, I'll do 2 to 3 because some of these flips can sometimes put a 3rd bathroom in there. So I'll do 2 to 3 bathrooms. I can put year built. I can put the square footage of the building that was flipped. And then the most important part is how long did it take that person to flip the property? Now, I'm not looking for a buyer who takes 2 years to flip. I want a quick buyer, right? Buyer takes my contract, rehabs it, puts it back on market in 6 months. So what I want is someone who takes 3 to 10 months on that flip. Property class must be a residential single family property that was flipped. Distance, 1 mile from my house. How did this flipper buy the property? Through cash. And do you want to see anybody buying multiple properties? Nah, not right now, just a single property. And this is what our flip comps will show you. This is very powerful because it tells me, the way I look at data is it tells me a story. And the reason why I like this flip comp is it's loaded with everything. First, it shows you the address that was flipped. So 6785 St. Julian Way, which is just west of our property, has a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square foot, just like our property, right? Besides even going in further on this, the fact that there's 15 flips in this last 2 years means this is a market that people want to be in to flip properties. So I'm good, right? So just the fact that there was 15 flips in the last 2 years, I'm comfortable that getting a contract here, we're going to find a flipper. But once I get my result, it shows me the address that was flipped, the characteristics of the address, when they bought the property, and how much the buyer was willing to pay in what? Cash. So now it's telling me the buyer's power in this market. And as you can see, there's a trend. Buyers are buying $68,000, $70,000, $80,000. Don't lock up anything more than that because these buyers aren't going to willing to deal with you. So not only does it show me the address that's flipped, the characteristics of the address that was flipped, it shows me what the buyer is willing to pay for, right? So lock it up under that price. Second, it shows me the ARV. They did the work for us. They bought it for 80, they rehabbed it, and then they sold it for a higher price. That 135 is the ARV of this 3-2-1200 property that looks like this. So now I know what it takes to get a property listed at 130. You make it look like this, right? Doesn't look so great, but that's why he got 130. He still got a deal because he got it for 80, right? Now, what about this $82,000 one that's listing it for 132? Same characteristics, right? What does that look like? What does a 132 property look like? Hey, there's a trend. Wooden floors, light color paint, okay kitchen. So we now see what these buyers are willing to put their money towards, right? Something at 80,000, put a little bit rehab, they're okay with listing it at 130. So you're getting the ARVs of all the 3-2s in this neighborhood. Ultimately, you're getting the buying power of everybody in this neighborhood as well. And you get to see the images of that ARV. So here you go, right? So you can see the more love you get, the higher the value of the property. So right off the bat, I know, hey, this 3-2 that we're dealing with has an ARV that's within a 130, 140 range. And then if the homeowner says, well, I want 90 cash. Well, Mr. Homeowner, nobody's paying cash over $90,000 right now in your neighborhood because of the fact that they have to take your property that's falling apart. They'll give you 90,000, maybe 80,000 for it, but they have to put a lot into it to make profit. But this is why I like the flip comps. And as a matter of fact, we don't have a report for it, but when you highlight the comps that you're looking at, let's say all of them, we'll summarize it for you. The average purchase amount, what the buyers are usually able to flip it for or buy it for, the average flip amount, and the average gross profit that the buyers are making. Average purchase price per square footage, average flip price per square footage, and average gross. But the most important part to me is this top one. Shows you the average cash buyer amount, the average ARV, and then the gross profit these buyers would like to make in order to deal with you.
Wow, this is just so crazy. I mean, I'm just blown. Hi, button. This is so good. So it even shows you like, what kind of equity they're playing in an area. It's not by standard like, oh, I need 70% of ARV or whatever. You know what areas would take 80% or 90 or whatever,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is powerful because again, you see the buyer's amount and you're right. I mean, 132, I mean, we can do some math here. So if we do 132 times 70%, yeah, see, they want lower than 72%. Some of these guys aren't even going to pay $90,000. Some of them will. So it's beyond 70% in this market. This market, the buyer's like, yeah, 60%. That's what they want, 65%. But if you try to go in this market at 70%, you might not be a very happy camper. You might be wondering, why don't buyers want my, well, because there's rehab involved, right? And you still have to make your assignment fee on top of that. So that's what I like about this is because it really identifies like the trend in that market. I know a lot of people like to use the 70% rule, but that may not apply all the time, right? And that 82 right there, that's including your assignment fee. So if the person that flipped it made, 7,000, then that contract was actually 75,000. So it actually would have been lower than that because you still have to attach your assignment fee, and that price includes the assignment fee. So 80,000 was the total purchase price, but it could have been a $60,000 house, and then the contract was 20,000. So this person could have made a $20,000 assignment fee because he got it for 60K, right? So that to me is the most important part about this. It shows you the behavior, shows you how fast they're flipping it, the photos, so you can determine, okay, yes, that was a rehab property that was flipped. And again, you get the buyer's amount, you get the purchase amount or the ARV amount, and then the characteristics to say, yep, my property fits the exact criteria these properties fit.
Right. Wow.
I got a couple questions to tag onto this, man. I'm sorry to make this take so long, but I think this is probably one of the most powerful things for real estate wholesalers.
Yes.
One question is here, because I think it removes all excuses here, because the biggest excuse that we all hear is from one another is, I don't know what to offer. I mean, what do I offer? Like it's just like I'm frozen because I don't know what to offer. And it's like we won't even send the agreement with any number on it because we don't know what to. Okay, no more, because now we know right there. So here's two questions I got. One is we go into a neighborhood like that and there are no flip comps. Does that mean that there's no flips going on in that neighborhood and maybe we should avoid doing this particular neighborhood deal because there's no buyers for it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and then secondly, the question is once I'm in the flip comps, my mouth is watering, man. Okay, I wanted, I'm just like, oh my gosh, look at these buyers and what they've already accomplished in this neighborhood. What is the direct line from where you are right now on the screen to finding those buyers right there?
The best way to find these buyers right now is because most of these buyers are going to probably be corporate office. You can do one of two things. If there's a buyer that catches your eye, like let's say this buyer right here, like I love what they did with their property. Like they really took care of their property. You can tell. So that buyer, obviously I'm not going to be able to find out. So what you can do is you click on it, go into the details, and you can do one of two ways. You can do a quick Google search. So once you're in the details of that property that was flipped, this property, you can go in the mortgage transaction and then just quickly Google the seller's name, the seller that sold it to the new homeowners, right? So that's one way. Google the LLC that did the flip. Or the other easy way is go into the MLS details and just call the agent directly. Ronald, what's going on? I got a contract in the neighborhood. Just wondering if you could help me out with some buyers. I see that you represented a company called Rescue Rehab recently. Do you know of contact information there?
Right.
And here's the important part about that.
Call them out. Yeah.
Ronald is not going to only give you this person's contact information if you're kind to him. Ronald has like 7 other buyers on his list as well. So it's always good to build relationships with these agents. So if you can't get a hold of the LLC, or you can't skip trace it, or too busy to try to Google it, call the agents representing these flippers. You have, in this case, 15 agents that represented 15 flippers. So just click on that property, go into the details, either look in the transaction history and get a hold of the seller, or the seller of the property manually. So I can go in here and I can do the hard work, go to OfferPad LLC, do a quick Google search, OfferPad Fayetteville, North Carolina, and now I can just give them a call, right? OfferPad, there you go. I can call them directly. Or if I'm too afraid to call a customer support line, I don't want to talk to secretary, I don't want to be put on hold or any of that stuff, straight to the point, I don't need to do that. I don't need to Google OfferPad. I just go to MLS, pick up the phone. Kyle, what's going on, man? I need a buyer. I was wondering if you can help me out really quick. And I have his phone number.
Boom.
So that's 2 ways to approach that. You can either click on the property, go into details and see the transaction history in Google, who sold the property, or just get that agent's information and you can call it a day.